Marko, we are very happy to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm also very glad to be here. So it's for me a great pleasure to share my knowledge, but not so high as Mats now explained. I hope that I won't disappoint you because of so nice introduction. But still, I hope that we will find something which will be useful also for our practical work. In last weekend, I was in Budapest, where we have a meeting how to facilitate the coaches' education inside the European Handball Federation. And there was also the man who is responsible for the coaches' education in Denmark, Ulrik Jørgensen, our friend. And he told me, please, your lectures, never be too theoretical during your lectures. So please, our coaches need something practical. So I take it to my heart and I say, okay, I have to be more practical. But still I have to make some theoretical presentation, otherwise we have no basis on which we can put our practice. So we have to know what we are doing, the purpose of what we are doing. Otherwise, we are just in the dark. No? So I try to remove a curtain a little bit also during this presentation in the theoretical way, and normally then I will try practically to illustrate everything. So I choose just the specific endurance. Well, no, the physical preparation in handball is a very large area, and so it's impossible to be focused on everything in a so short time. So specific handball duration will be in a focus today. But first I would like to say what we considered under the term of fitness training in handball. First of all, it is considered abilities that enable players to carry out typical handball actions with the maximal or optimal power. So explosive and elastic strength, speed, agility, coordination. We can see here very well. So execution of most typical handball action. So the execution of jump shot. So 3 seconds. It's not more than 3 seconds. A lot of power, a lot of but normally, one more action, which is close also for you. I think you immediately recognize the player. So now occur this action. And the player in this situation must be very explosive, coordinative, agile, so on and so on. So, but it's just one action. It's last 3 seconds, 4 seconds at the most. So they have to produce as much as possible energy, power, force in a very short time. So it is very important for the handball that we develop this kind of abilities. But on the other side, we should also develop the capabilities which allow the players to execute the multiple sequential execution of these activities in such relation as it appeared during the game. So we have some periods of the game when the players must run, execute the typical activities, jumping, throwing, passing, falling down, and so on, in the relation which is not regular. So it's difficult to say, we have to, it's one example. The complete sequence lasts 40 seconds. So first part is attack versus zone defense, jump shot, return to the defense, counter-attack, fast execution of throw, sorry. And then once again, one more. Okay, once more. So a lot of running. And not just running. It's execution of every kind of actions. So, and that are the abilities that the handball players need to have. No, not something else. So, these are the second part of the physical abilities that handball players should have. And then on the other side, the players must play the whole match. Here are some data, how much the players during the match is running, also by playing positions, how many acyclic or technical activities they execute. We can easily recognize that passes, shots, and jumps are more dedicated to the back players. No? Sprints, for example, more for the wing players and so on. So basically, the players need to have power, strength, then specific endurance to execute partly this, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 seconds of handball games, activities during this, and then they have to be able to maintain this pace during the whole match, to run, if possible, during the match, if there is no substitution, even more than 5 kilometers, and not run slowly. So he has to run very fast. Okay, there are breaks and so on, but still there is a lot to do during the whole match. So we must train players to enable them to be good during the whole match. So these three parts are very important for the handball. So that's our aim, to prepare the players to be as good as possible in one action, in many actions, sequential, and during the whole match. It's very complex. If we speak, for example, with track and field coaches, then you see immediately that the coach who is responsible for the sprinters, he will say, no, it's impossible. It's impossible. If you want to be a good sprinter, then you cannot be good in endurance. So that are two abilities which cannot be put together. And so on and so on. So they are how to say, they look at the preparation of the sportsman in the component way. So they just want to train the components of abilities. But I'm very close to this holistic approach, and I will speak a little bit about the holistic approach, how it could be useful in the handball training. So although some abilities must be trained also is isolated, it's very important that we make many workouts where the many abilities are integrated in the same exercises, same methods. That's very important for the handball. And the training of specific endurance in handball is a very good example how we can really consider multiple objectives in one training drill. So we have one training drill, and inside this we can follow the multiple objectives, not just one. As for example, I try to explain with the example of track and field coaches as sprinters or throwers or something like that. So if we have in a focus training of specific endurance in handball, then we have to follow the metabolic aspect. Traditionally, when we speak about endurance training, we always speak about the metabolic aspect, more or less. Then perhaps someone speak also about the hormonal aspect, but it's rare. But then it's also the neuromuscular aspect. So it's not the same if we run with a lot of acceleration, deceleration, changing of directions. It is specific for or typical for the handball actions, or we just run straight, in a pace where there is no accelerations and decelerations. Then sensoric aspect. I will try to explain later on these things. So then we have to consider in this holistic aspect also the cognitive aspect. So we handball players must think all the time what's happened be concentrated and so on. Then at the end, normally also technique and tactic aspect. So all these aspects, the main aspect, there are some others also, but there are main aspects, should be considered when we create exercises to train specific endurance in handball and also others. So metabolic aspect it's easy. So we want to cover all these three ways to raise synthase ATP, aerobic, anaerobic lactic, and anaerobic alactic. So it's normal. This aspect it's not something special. Then it's the hormonal aspect, very important, because the hormones guide our body. During the exercises, our glands excrete many hormones. So some of them are good, some of them are less good. For example, adrenaline or epinephrine, more excretion by high-intensity training. Testosterone, growth hormones, both very desirable. More excretion by high-intensity training. Then cortisol, not so very good hormone. Especially when you are very stressed without any kind of movement. Then this cortisol is not so good, but it is involved in the resynthesis of ATP, in the glucogenesis, gluconeogenesis. Okay, so it is the way that the cortisol also is excreted in our blood. So I will try to speak a little bit more afterwards. And then high-intensity exercises also improves insulin sensitivity more, making cells more sensitive to insulin. So also from this point of view, high-intensity training, which I try to explain, is much better than lower intensity training. The neuromuscular aspect. So we try to increase the activity of the motor cortex of the brain with our exercises normally. We should do it. Then we should find the way how to make more efficient recruitment of motor units. So our movements should be in the way that there will be as much as possible efficient recruitment of motor units, but in the way how it occurs during the typical actions in handball. So it's not. It's very important. Then we should modify frequency of firing of action potential. So it's the next very important neuromuscular aspect. Then we should care about the possible synchronization of motor units. So it's a coordination. It's for example, if you have still in your mind the action of Sagosen, it's impossible without very good neuromuscular aspect. So he must be during his action in a very good coordination, agility, and it's that. Then more effective co-activation, agonist-antagonist, improvement of intermuscular coordination. So in these exercises, we should not abandon this aspect. Then neuromuscular reflex potentiation. So many exercises now are also made in the way that we try to make this kind of short-term potentiation of reflex inside the muscles and the tendons. The next thing, very important, is sensoric aspect. So once again, we must have in exercises a great focus on sensorics. What does it mean? In every kind of actions in handball, so we have to observe what's happened. It's normal. Then once again, so visualization of the court opponents, then where I am, in which part of the court I am, and so on and so on. So it's very important. And then from the sensoric aspect, it was important this. So make exercises in handball without this. But from the sensorical point of view, what we say that is very important, it's important to develop this. So we have to fight for the ball. We have it should be in our focus. Just a nice picture which reflect very good, illustrate this point. Then the cognitive aspect. Normally, all this information from our sensorics must be elaborated in our brains to give the players the opportunity to make the best possible answer to the situations. And at the end, normally, so it's a complex technique and tactic aspect. So our exercises, even if we train endurance, specific endurance, should be constructed in the way that enable the players or to give the players the opportunity to make the structure of the movement on individual way, or in a whole team tactic. In the way it's typical for the handball actions. So it is very important that the players execute the exercises where they can find the possibility to improve also their technique and normally in the tactic. So it's not the same if we train toward the goal or if we train, I don't know, to pass the ball in between the players across the field. Just one example. Now the methods which are suitable for development of specific handball endurance. Now first I will perhaps we could discuss a little bit. You can interrupt me and don't hesitate to do it. And we can discuss a little bit about these things. Now first is continuous training or running. Now when and how? Very nice girl, nice music, nice running. But from my point of view, useless for handball. Now in the traditional way. I don't know if the older guys and madams agree with me, but we always start our season with running. So we always running in this way. So first 2 weeks, first 3 weeks, we just run. Not to improve overall abilities, but in the matter of fact, it is useless. Even more, it can produce the negative effects. So, coordination, neuromuscular aspects, metabolic aspects, now sensoric aspects. Yeah, it's very nice in the nature. It's very nice in the nature. But what can I observe here? What can I find good for my handball? Yeah, okay. Sorry, but now I have to, just a moment. Yeah, okay, I understand immediately. This draw is much better. Okay.
Otherwise you have to sing, right?
Yeah, why not? Just a moment. Is it good? On the computer is still not. Just a moment. Sorry, but now I have to turn off everything. I restart immediately, no problem. Okay. So I wonder if somebody want to argue with this, but normally participants on the seminar, when I present these findings, they say, okay, but we are used to train this way. Then we discuss about that, what is good, what is not good, and so on. And afterwards, I also say, okay, in some way, it could be also used as a mean to develop handball endurance, but really just how to say. Oh, one more thing. You can see that I found it on the internet. You can buy this T-shirt. No, if somebody im Wald wurde noch nie die Spiele gewonnen. So it's somehow the message, no, the message to coaches. No, don't put me in the world. Don't put me to run straight. Just in the try to do something more from me. Try to make a handball player from me. Then we start a discussion. Is there really completely to remove this kind of training means from our trainings, or it could be suitable also sometimes? Yeah, it could be suitable when the players, for example, try to remove this kind of detraining effects. No, so in June, for example, when they have no training camps in club, or they are not a part of the national teams, they can use that kind of means. Even if I think that even in that moments they can choose better possibilities. Then when they restart their training after the injuries, okay, they can restart with this kind of but it is not the development of the specific handball endurance that I want to really to stress. And then normally we can also use this kind of exercises to warm up the players. No doubt, we can use the continuous method. We can run 20 minutes first of all in a sport hall. Is the first thing. And the second thing is we have to introduce in this run many different activities which are specific for the handball. Even if it is warming up, no, we should make, I don't know, many different kind of activities, running backwards, sidewards, make exercises for then light jumps, and so on. So we can tackling many different things which can be inserted in such exercises. So it is continuous running on the very low pace, low level of intensity. Now it's nice to see, it's very good, but still it is just for the warming up. It is not something which will develop in reality our abilities to be better in a handball endurance. So, continuous method, once again, is in red color. Okay. And what are the desired methods for developing specific handball endurance? First of all, it is the interval method, high-intensity interval training. It's the first thing. Then, repeated sprint training, short but very intensive repetition of sprints. And then also, I opted also for the small-sided games, the special designed handball games, or the smaller court, and with the fever-adapted number of the players, which allow high-intense games. I will explain later on everything. First, high-intensity interval training. Main point of this interval method is systematical alternation of relative short work phase and a bit longer breaks, but just a bit longer. Periods of rest does not allow a complete restitution. So the fatigue raise up from repetition to repetition. And in interval method, the structure of dosing is prescribed with following parameters. First of all, duration of work, time, it could be time, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20, 30 seconds, or the length of the track. So 70 meters, 100 meters, 150 meters, and so on. Then intensity in execution of work, how intense the players must run. Then duration of rest or break. So how much time will be the rest? Then in between the repetitions. The nature and intensity of rest. Will they allow to walk, to jog, to sit down, to lie down? So it's very important, or they have to pass the ball. And then the number of repetitions, the whole amount of load regarding the time and the length. In general, activities in high-intensity interval method is executed in a very high-intensity, we call it submaximal, in principle more than 90% of VO2 max, or more than 100% of maximal aerobic speed. Now I will try to explain what it has been later on. And what is the characteristically for this high intensity training? First of all, it allows a development of different abilities in the same proportion as it is characteristic for the handball competitive environment, as we tried to explain in the beginning. So with this high intensity training, we can really make exercises which are close to situations which occur during our actions. Then high-intensity training allows the development of entire spectrum of metabolic process. So also this aspect is very important normally. And also integration of most regimes of muscle strain, which includes also fast muscle fibers. So it means that this kind of method should involve also the short sprints, accelerations, deacceleration, changing of directions, different specific movements characteristic for the handball. And then very important is the impact of the activation and recruitment of large amounts of motor units. So this neuromuscular aspect is very much exposed during this, when we execute these methods. And the synergic operation of agonists and antagonists. And the vital is also that high-intensity interval training enables connection of fitness training and technical skills, as I tried to explain it before. So it's the vital. I hope that there will be also opportunity to speak a little bit more about that. So this high-intensity exercise also provokes releasing of cortisol. What we say that it's not desired hormone, but at the same time, as some compensation, there is also very much excretion of anabolic hormones like testosterone and growth hormone, and it's somehow compensate in a low level. There is just the cortisol mainly. There is no testosterone and growth hormone which are excreted from our glands. Okay. So how can we define the intensity of the running for the players? There is one method which we used in last years now but it is more informative for you. Perhaps someone will also make it for the national teams. But now also many club teams try to perform this test is the 30-15 intermittent fitness test, which were constructed by one French scientist, Martin Bouchait. I don't know if somebody know him. It's very good because it allows that at the same time, you can measure many players, and then you can get their so-called maximal aerobic speed. So this test starts with the very slow running, 8.5 meters per second, so jogging, okay, and then it finish with a 20, 21 even meters per second. So they run to their exhaustion, so till the end. And this last stage, which they can make, is considered as the maximal aerobic speed. And it is as I tried to tell you, it is 100% of their maximum speed. And it is in many cases, or mostly, it is in between 5 and 6 meters per second. Why it's very important? Because now we can measure. So say, okay, in 1 second, the players must run 6 meters. No, in 10 seconds, 60 meters. If they have a turn, we just add 0.7 seconds. No, we have some objective possibilities to dose our training. Yeah.
What do you think is an acceptable level in this test?
Acceptable?
For a top elite player, what is the minimum we do?
Yeah, acceptable. I can just tell you what we got from our players. So the best players around have to be over 20, 20 and a half, 21. But there were never days. Even the best were never over 22 kilometers per hour. So it's in between 20 and goalkeepers perhaps a little bit less. But normally the players. Sorry. Sorry. Never more.
Do you have a minimum level level that you say all the players need to be above this?
Yeah, of course. No, then we gave them the recommendation to improve. Normally, yeah.
But is that 17 or is it 20?
No, it also depends. No, for the senior team, if somebody is on 70, he can go home. It's injured player. No, it's not. No, it's. I can tell you the best players who are able now to really to mix very good their strength, power, and at the same time also ability to persist to become tired. No, they can be around 22, but not more. So the best players, like for example Jans, now he's able to run extremely fast, but at the same time he's also have great abilities to maintain his pace during the match. So there is no need to change during the match. No, the same.
One runs 22 and a half in this.
Oh, excellent! I think that we never got this result, so it's extremely up. But okay, it's also now for this presentation. No, it's okay. It's important, but it is really more how to say academic question. No, then normally the coaches. I myself before the starting of the season, I make this test, and some others also. Okay. 8 times 40 meters, for example, when it's a more anaerobic test, it is more aerobic test. Well, you can get the aerobic abilities, more aerobic than anaerobic. There are other tests which can give you more information about the anaerobic abilities of the players. But normally, then I just count. Then I just approximately. No, it's not. It's impossible. No, that you have 18 players. 16, 18 players on a court, and individualized for everyone. So the exercises are the same. You just observe who is better in execution these exercises. So it's almost impossible that you completely individualize this kind of exercises. Okay, then the duration of repetitions is from 10 to 30 seconds. And the number of repetitions in series is 6 to 8. Did I? Okay. Break between the series in one exercise is up to 2 minutes, not more. And number of series of the same exercise, so same content, is from 2 to 4. So it depends. I will try to give you more information afterwards. Number of training units per week depends, or we are in a period of preparations, or we are period of competition. We have in a competitional period 2 matches per week. We have in a competition one period 1 match per week. So it depends. It's normally that coach must adapt this kind of training. Oh, well, otherwise, at Saturday, when it is the match, they will be tired. No, it's not our aim to be to get the tired players here. So normally, the volume and intensity should drop down from the Monday to the Friday. No, okay. So, but okay, now for the players who play a lot at the Saturday's match, normally all these things are on a very high level. So if the handball match is the same as we perform the high intensity interval training, so the effects of match is almost the same as if we have this kind of training. So so the Monday normally no training, no, and it should be repeated, no, normally every week if we have just one match. Here is also presentation, a week program, number of exercises, series and repetitions. So Monday, a lot of repetitions, a lot of series. No, then a little bit less till the end. But even in the Friday, it's nice if you perform just one exercise with 2 series with 4 repetitions. You will find exercise which will activate the players. No, not just tactic. Not just tactic. Try to make just one exercise, but in a very high intensity. Okay, now some examples. Even we will also normally train afterwards, just for a short presentation. So it's an action when we put together all kind of movements important for the handball. It's a Monday morning training years ago, but I still present these images. First of all, running with different kind of tasks. Here, two players together. Simple actions. It's not important that there is I don't know, very complex actions. Then a little bit upgrading. So once again, one run, second run, and then third run, here 1-to-1, +1, so defense. So different kind of movements which are typical for handball. And once again, exercise with 8 repetitions for everyone. Duration is approximately 20 seconds. The rest is a little bit more than this, and it mimics the handball. No, this kind of running, acceleration, feints, movements are the part of our technique, the part of our tactic. This is how to say, it's easy from the technical point of view, so we focused more on the let's say so metabolic and other aspects, but still we bring in the possibilities that the players train their own sport. One more example. So all kinds of movements. That's why it's very important now to know the content of the handball game. No, we should do that things in all phases. No, in attack versus zone defense, then in counter-attack, returning to the defense. Now we must know which kind of movements are typical for handball, and to integrate these things into the exercise. And so in this way we can a little bit control what's happened. No? Now even more, then we can make even more specific things. No? Many kind of crosses, piston movements, but afterwards, once again, running. So we have to run, but not in the forest. No? And here you have everything. So you have a court, you have a positions of the players, you have a specific movements of the players, specific action of the players, sensoric, no, neuromuscular aspect. So all these aspects and normally somehow it should be also a little bit more interesting for the players. So my experience is that normally players like to do these exercises, right? It's a part of their sport. Once again, you can, if you know very well handball, if you know very well the specific movements of the handball, actions, individual, group collaboration, and so on, you can construct by yourself whatever you want. There is no limitations, just the imagination of the player and knowing the method. No? What do you want to achieve? So combination of any kind of exercises, and afterwards, no, if you have 2 hours of training session, 1 hour of this exercise, and in the second hour, we can just put all these things into our tactic. So it is somehow also less time consuming. Okay, but on the other side, no, we can use also this method without the ball. We can just say, okay, now just run. Run, make in high intensity, as we told, so 71 meter. Our approach is that in 15 seconds, we would like to run 70 meters. Then 20 seconds of the rest, so a little bit more than, and repeat it once again, 8 repetitions. 2 minutes of rest, and so on. So it's also possible, but it's more relaxing for the coach. You know why? Because it's easy. It's not so easy as it is running in the forest. No, running in the forest is even easier. No, but you just when I have no idea, I say now today we will run. When I have no idea what to train, so. It's not easy to say, but normally it saves a lot of energy for the coaches. Sometimes it's useful also this. Then the second method is so-called repeated sprint training. So repeated sprint training is not the same as high intensity interval training. No, the intensity of execution in this method is even higher, so 100% it, even more, so completely. That's why one repetition could not last long, so it must be very short. And in between these short activities, but very high intensity sprints, there should be moderate intensity activities such as walking and jogging, no, to enable the players to recover. For example, some scientists which deal with sport games note that repeated sprint ability is the ability to perform at the best possible peak power and velocity over a series of sprints, so less than 10 seconds. And also they consider this ability as a crucial fitness for the players in the sport games. So it could be dedicated we should dedicate it as most crucial fitness ability for the sport games. Okay. And the importance here is once again specific situational training. Also here we have to find the way how to train and how to improve our endurance, specific endurance with situational training. As much as possible sprints in the context of the handball. So methods for dosing are almost the same as we mentioned before in the high intensity interval training, but now normal intensity is much higher. So how can we also get these intensities, or let's say so the track or time? Simply we can measure our players also, how fast they run. Normally the 100% of their is in between 7 and so the highest, the peak velocity, the peak speed which player in handball can reach. One more answer is in between the 7 and 5 meters per second. You know what was the peak speed of Usain Bolt when they made the world record? Is there anybody who know that? And if anybody knows how long it lasts that the sprinters reach this high speed?
70 meters?
No, less. About 30 meters. In between 30 and 35 meters, they reach the highest, the peak velocity, and afterwards they have to maintain this till the end of the track. So in handball, 30-meter sprints, there's almost no such long sprints. No? So it means that the players never reach their maximum speed. No, but okay, it's important because we have to consider also in our exercises. We have to make a little bit longer sprints and a little bit less long sprints with normally different other different activities. But these meters serves us for dosing. No, for example, for Blaž Jans, who is for example, he ran his peak power, peak velocity is about 9 meters per second. So he's almost 9 meters and 5 per second. If he will be the sprinter in track and field, he will be one of the best Slovenian sprinters. So also the specialist in the sprints sometimes is not so good as he is in their speciality. This is okay. It is data how we can make how we can dose the activities. Then the duration of the activity normally it's much shorter than in high intensity training. In high intensity training, we told that it should be in between 10 and 30 seconds because for many reasons. But here, just 3 to 10 seconds, not more. Short sprints, it means that if somebody run 8.5 meters, for example, or 8 meters, then in 10 seconds, it's 80 meters. So it's almost impossible to make such exercises. So it should be shorter. And then the rest should be 3 times longer, sometimes very short breaks, now to evoke a great response of the organism, and the repetitions in one area 6 to 8 once again. Break in between the series up to 2 minutes, number of series in the same exercise, once again 2 to 4, number of training units per week 2 to 5, again the same, approximately the same, and the structure of this exercise is almost the same. So now it depends on the coach's attitude, but normally at Monday it should be more focused on the high intensity training, and then at Tuesday, for example, a little bit more for repeated sprintability training. Now, if you have an opportunity to make the whole week training program with these two methods, just a small alternation. Okay, just once again examples of specific handball exercises. We will also show that on a court. So just small sprint, delivering of the ball then battled for the ball, 1-to-1. Very short, but extremely. Okay, the same exercises, but just one turn. So once again, sprint, turn, deceleration, acceleration, using as much as possible motor units which are important for the handball actions. Good neuromuscular training. So then, for example, 2-2. So there are so many exercises which can be put it into the context of handball, and with which we can improve the endurance of the players. But we just have to. So normally in these exercises it's less control. It's less control. But if we prepare the players to execute it very good, then we can also improve our control over their executions. One more action, so pass, sprint, deceleration, one more sprint. So sprints, accelerations, decelerations, and so on and so on. Then we can normally continue with other activities, just the one, and another activities which can also be useful. So we will perform some of these exercises also in the sport hall. Then the third method is the small-sided games. So high intensity training, repeated sprintability training, and then small-sided games that are different games containing handball elements where we manipulate with the field dimensions, number of players on the field, time of activity, and the time of rest. It's very popular in soccer. I don't know if you know. It's if you can Google, if you can make a search on Google, you will find hundreds of researches when the scientists deal with this kind of exercises. Then it's also very, very popular in rugby, ice hockey, and in last years it's also well developed in handball. So it can be also very useful from many points of view. So small-sided games provide an advantage over traditional technique drills because they allow both specific technique and tactics to be trained in the game-like scenario. So we pass the ball when we are covered from the defender. So we must undercover to go to the ball and so on. So it's very useful for the youngsters, and it's very useful for the senior players, even normal, even professional players. And at the same time, normally it's very important that we develop simultaneously technical and tactical skills and physical capabilities. It's our focus. So physical abilities and the technical and tactical skills together. Less players per side, per team, provide a better stimulus. So 3-3. In games 3-3, the players are much more involved in the game as they are in the 6-6. I don't know if it's in Slovenia, it's extremely popular 3-3 basket. And it became an Olympic sport. So anyone know the children play 3-3. Why? Because they are involved in the game all the time. So if they play 5-5, and run all the way on the court, they get the ball, I don't know, once per minute. No? In 3-3 on one basket, they're always in the game. So it's also the aim of these small-sided games the players are in the game all the time. And that time, normally, all these effects are provoked. Breaks duration in between these games should be 1 to 2 minutes. So once again, insufficient recovery, but long enough to enable players to continue with very intensive play. Then average heart frequency during the game, so it is metabolic aspect, should be in between 85 and 95% of heart rate maximum. So it is a little bit above the lactic threshold, or a little bit less. Then the desired zone of heartbeat is in between 170 and 190. I will show you why it is so important. Okay, now the first game. Now practice. It's not just not to be just theory, even if the theory is very important. So 3-3, as I told you, two goals just across the field. We can make many fields on the playground. So one is here, one is here, one is on the other side. Depends on the number of the players. But now the number of the players allow them to run a lot, to execute the different kind of passes, actions, to be clever. Cognition is very important. Tactic is very important. Neuromuscular effect is very important. Then visualization. So it allows the player, but once again, not more than 3-4 minutes. And here we perform such an experiment just to show the coaches how useful can be, also from the metabolic points of view. So you can see that almost all the players were in the zone under 180. So 3 minutes, 4 minutes of this play, it's much better if we run half an hour in a forest, just for an example. Okay. Now here we have some kind of combination. I will tell you why. So here we have a combination of high intensity interval training, as I told you before. So 70 meters run in 15 seconds. So it means 100% of maximal aerobic speed, and on the same time 4-4 on 4 goals. It's provoke also a great creativity of the players and so on. And on the other side, the players just run. So we have three groups. First play A, B, then A, C, C, B, and other group, the third group is just running. Okay, and the third example is the example when the players are played 2-2 on one side and 2-2 on the other side. It's called, it's very popular in the methodical approach in the young age categories. I don't know if somebody knows this play 2x3 versus 3. Now here's 2x2 versus 3. So here the players are playing. Here is the rest. So then they transfer the ball to the other side, and then they are playing on the other side, and so on. So a little bit more rest. Now in between the phases, and on the other side we have a run. Once again, the run, objective measuring of the track. No, but a little bit more in the by changing of direction. So it's not just straight run. Okay, so 2-2. Now transfer the ball to the other side, continue. And here we have running as we try to determine in the methodology of high intensity training. So both methods. On one side, small side games, on the other side, I will try to explain you later on when is the problem here. Okay. Now, which of these three games provoke or evoke the greatest response from the metabolical point of view? Well, once again, so many times the track and field coaches, for example, say, okay, if you want to raise up your abilities to be more efficient during the long time, then you have to train, how to say, in a very defined way. But it's obvious that, for example, in this first game, 3 versus 3, 3 minutes, the players were on average, it's an average data, 86% of all the time of the game on their 86% of maximum. So it's really a high level. Then in the game 2, less. So it's a 4-4, if you remember, 4-4 on 4 goals. But this game is problematic from the metabolic point of view. So it could be nice for the warming up and so, but from the metabolic point of view, it could not provoke enough stress on the body. So it cannot improve our endurance abilities. So this rest period is not good. Just for so if you want really to focus on the development of our abilities to maintain the pace over the long time, we should perform this kind of small-sided games. 3-3, no, without break, without any other too complex tasks. Then the percentage of share of relative effort. Now, first class under 50%, second class 51 to 70%, third class 71 to 90, and fourth class the most desired, no, over 90. So in the first game, this first class, very few. No, in the second a little bit more. In the third game, more. Then the second game, it's a little bit higher effectiveness, but still not enough. Then in the third class, it is something which is desirable also for our point of view. So especially second and the third game, 62 and 64%, very high. But the most important thing is that the players should be, in this highest 4 class, more than 90% of their relative maximal heart rate. And it's obvious that they are more than 50% in this zone. Once again, the most desirable. Game 3-3 without any other complex activity. Okay, now comparison. In second game, in second example, we made parallelly. So the small-sided games for 4-on-4 goals, and at the same time also running 70 meters. So high-intensity interval training. And now if we compare it from the metabolic point of view, it is almost the same. So it's not substantial differences. What does it mean? It is almost the same from the metabolic point of view. If you just run straight in a way that that is prescribed by the high-intensity interval training, or if we just play small-sided games. But normally, from our point of view, it's much more, we want to achieve other, or we just try to follow other objectives, like we say the sensoric aspect, cognitive aspect, neuromuscular aspect, hormonal aspect, which are much more, much better, with which we can much better achieve these aspects with small-sided games than, for example, with high-intensity interval training without handball content. Now, if we make a handball content, then it be comparable. So it is up to coaches what they will choose, or high-intensity training, interval training, repeated sprint training, small-sided games, to improve the specific endurance ability of the players. But normally they have to have the coach have to have a basis, so theoretical basis, how to do it. And beside this, he must have a great knowledge about the handball content. What in the reality our players execute during the match. Which kind of movements? Now, if it is possible, also specialized for the wing players, for the back players, pivots, or to make even more specialized exercises which mimic their real actions during the game. So that should be our target when we try to develop the specific handball endurance. So no continuous training, no low intensity training which lasts for half an hour, 1 hour, and so on. More focused on these kind of exercises, because these kind of exercises provoke better effects on the metabolic level, on the sensoric level, hormonal level, neuromuscular level, tactic and tactics even more. Okay, now I'm finished with that. So now if there are some questions, do we have still some time for discussion? I rushed a little bit through. Well, almost every part of this presentation could be elaborated by itself. No, I just try to put together everything to make a whole picture. But normally we should elaborate it every kind of this high intensity method, repeated sprintability method, small-sided games. It's very huge chapter. Which we should elaborate it. Questions, discussion?
That's what I wanted to ask. I think it was you said something here in the final that was excellent to put in a summary, that we need a theoretical base, what you're putting on here, together with the handball knowledge to develop our sport. So it's no doubt about it that the theoretical base you have and the handball knowledge you have. So what you are doing here, what you're showing us here in the theoretical part, it's very important to know what we are doing and why we are doing it. Because a lot of times as a coaches, maybe we do some things without having the theoretical part why we are doing it. We've seen someone else doing something, we learned about it, but here we are talking about a man that is studying 24 hours a day about development of handball, development of physical preparation and endurance training and everything. So I think it was very interesting to listen to have this theoretical part, the knowledge about this, the base. Any questions? Any question? Nothing.
Perhaps one.
Yes, we have someone here.
Okay.
Could you tell something about the responsibility in a team, the physio and yourself? Could you tell something about the responsibility in the team?
Concerning what?
Concerning the training, the coach, the physiotherapist, and the physic trainer.
No, it's a good question. Thank you. Now it's very important. Now we have this kind of specialization. We have a team of coaches. Now I have a main coach. Now yesterday we heard a lot about this complexity of the coaches' tasks. So my point is that the head coach should be he be the master. He masters everything. He must programmate the work. He can also leave the assistant coach and others in the team to execute something, but not to be responsible for that. It's a great difference. So I make a program, my assistant coach is able to execute it. So he knows the exercises, he knows how to dose it, he knows what is good, what is not good. No, but he is not responsible for the programmation, when it will be, how how long, and so on. It's a task of the head coach. So why I want to stress it, because nowadays more than to speak about the head coach more as a manager. But I'm strongly against this kind of definition of the head coach, because head coach must be also master of the training.
A master coach.
Yeah, master coach. Good. So I don't know if you asked. So he must be a good expert in the field of sports training.
I think that's another important part, because we had one period in handball that was very normal to bring in physical preparator people coming from the athletics and so on without any knowledge about handball. They were coming in with the theories from athletics, from other kinds of sports that was not team sport and was just making the running back and forwards. We were going out from the forest, we went into the field and track and fields. But what you are saying now, and with this high interval training, that we should be integrated more again in the physical preparation, that we are doing more and more, and have the basic knowledge about it, and just train handball more in the handball court, and also the endurance training. It's a lot of winning points. It's a win-win situation, what we're doing there, instead of going out. Yes, another question.
In Norway, we have a lot of forests, so we at some time we need
Slovenian too.
When we are in the forest, what should we do instead of just running?
At least you can mimic the characteristic of the movement of the handball press. So first of all, you must follow this regulative of high intensity training. So not run long distances with a low pace, but just make, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 meters track with a very high intensity dosing, as we try to describe. And then also a lot of different kind of movements, so acceleration, deceleration, changing of directions, different kind of movements, which, as I tried to explain, is more close to the handball movements. So it could be also interesting. Why not? So I don't want to now to be too dogmatic in this. So it's not the point. No, you can find, but you can find your own way. But it's very important to know what you do, not just to say I run all my life and I will continue. Okay, no, it's something. Then we cannot discuss. No, if somebody so resists immediately when we try to discuss, then it's impossible to make arguments why it's good and why it's not good. Then it's also one aspect which I try to not to touch is the aspect of the injuries. So it's very important that that we try to train in the way that enable the players to be better. Also, when they must resist to the different kind of forces, by landing, by pushing, which occur during landing, pushing, and so on. And it could be also incorporated in such exercises. Just running straight. Nothing. So it's another aspect, but it's completely another story. It's not anymore endurance, but one more thing. As anecdote. Yeah. As an anecdote. Okay. Now it's we also I don't know, 20 years ago we tried to bring in to improve our physical abilities many track and field coaches in Slovenia. So it was for us it was somehow normal that if we are good sprinters. Normally, we should learn from the sprint trainers, and if we are good jumpers, we must have a good trainer for the jumping. But then we really recognize that it's not so. Their philosophy is completely different than ours. I will try to explain you. Krim Elekta was 2 times European champion in women's Champions League. Now, and the coach is a friend of mine, Tony Tissel. I don't know if somebody knows him. Now, and he, in that time, they have a lot of money, so they can have for themselves whatever they want. And he take one woman, excellent, one of the best Slovenian track and field coaches for the sprinters. And then after some months, they separated because she saw Breda is his name. She said, Tone, it is impossible that I improve your players in sprint abilities if you don't give me 4 sessions per week. No, it's impossible. What is impossible? But I have to train the handball. She said, it's up to you, but I need 4 times. But Breda, it's impossible. No, I cannot give you 4 times. Try to do something. No, impossible. Then he took the psychologist. Psychologist was first, when he came, he just discovered a little bit. Now he tried to implement some methods, concentration, and so on and so on. And when they won the championship, he was first on the floor. Not the players, not the coach. He was first on the floor. That's the problem. No, if we introduce these people who are not from the handball society, they can easily misunderstand their role. I'm afraid a little bit about this kind of people. Sometimes, not always.
Experienced guy, you also. Experienced guy from another culture, like in Slovenia. Marko, it's been very interesting to have this first part of your action here, the theoretical part, that we can have the knowledge a little bit about what we want to show, what you're going to show us later on with the women recruit team on the court. So they are prepared to run because there will be a high intensity interval training, and it will be very nice to see you working on the field also. Thank you very much for this first part.
Welcome. Thank you for listening.